Welcome back to another episode of Figs Talks Fights. I'm your host, Brian Figueredo, and today I just want to get into the Anthony Smith versus Glover Teixeira fight that took place last night in Jacksonville, Florida, and I'll get into a little bit of some highlights from that card as well, okay? So, Glover Teixeira defeats Anthony Lionheart Smith due to TKO stoppage in the 5th round. Let me say, this fight went way too long. Way too long. And you could make an argument this fight should have been stopped in the 3rd round. So let's get into it. Right from the beginning of the fight. Okay, so these two guys come out, measured out. Anthony Smith is looking great. He's looking sharp in the 1st round. His boxing is on point. He keeps mixing in teep kicks right to the sternum of Glover Teixeira, keeping him at bay. Glover Teixeira just can't quite beat him to the punch, can't find his range, his head movement. He keeps moving his head on an entry, but when he actually gets in to exchange punches with Anthony Smith, he's staying stationary. Anthony Smith is taking complete advantage of it. Glover shoots for a couple half-hearted single legs and doubles. Anthony Smith just stuffs him very easily, creates space. A bit of a low blow halfway through the 1st round, okay? It wasn't from a kick or a knee or anything. Glover Teixeira was actually getting in body shots off the fence where they were clinched up at about 2.5 minutes into the 1st round and just throws one punch underneath the belt. Anthony Smith recovers, comes back, and takes over, and he's being dominant more in the 1st round. 2nd round comes out, and Anthony Smith is still on fire, but Glover Teixeira is starting to find his range. Then you start to notice something heading towards the end of the 2nd round, because Anthony Smith was putting up a sprint in the 1st round. He was trying to make a statement and get Glover Teixeira out of this fight as quickly as possible. But I mean, a big-headed guy like Glover with his experience, unless you're Rumble Johnson knocking him out in 12 seconds, real fucking tough ask for one night out. Anyhow, nonetheless, seemed like that was his objective, and he was gassed out into the 2nd round. 3rd round comes out. You can see Anthony Smith is a lot more labored with his shots. He's not turning the hip over on his punches as much anymore. He still has a decent jab, but you can tell everything is just way more labored. Kicks are coming up at about half the speed. Glover Teixeira gets a chance to catch him on a great double, puts him down on his ass. And as I said in the pre-fight video, Glover Teixeira works beautifully from getting a takedown right into the open guard and then catches that half guard immediately. He is good at getting his shoulder right across and cross-facing guys from half guard, beating up their body, sliding his knee in across, getting side control, and then just slipping his knee right across the body, slapping his shin down tight right beside him so there's no room to move here, okay? The ribs are tight with his knees in about here and just starts banging on bombs. He pretty much was riding Anthony Smith in the 3rd round. Would it have been a bad stoppage to stop it in the 3rd round? I've seen far worse in my life, but it could have been justifiable, okay? Now, your referee in this fight was Jason Herzog. Look, Jason Herzog is normally a decent ref. And I don't want to say he did a piss poor job, but he didn't do his job to the fullest extent, okay? And same with Anthony Smith's corner, but we'll get into that in one sec, okay? He keeps asking, I didn't hear him really ask, sorry, I shouldn't say he keeps asking. I didn't really hear him asking Anthony to keep improving his position or anything like that. He just lets Anthony get rode out, taking punches. You can see Anthony Smith. This is how you can tell he was labored and exhausted. When he turned his back from Glover Teixeira having that high mount on him, dropping bombs, Glover Teixeira is obviously going to be looking for a couple of things here. He's going to be picture Glover Teixeira right behind me here, okay? He's going to be looking to take the back, putting an underhook here and trying to go over here, dropping blows to the side of the head, to the body, but from that position, your finishing moves is pretty much just pounding them out or sliding in that rear naked choke, okay? So Anthony Smith kept getting a 2-on-1 on Glover Teixeira. And what I mean by a 2-on-1 is, like I said, if he has like a seatbelt grip, okay? You would break the grip and put two hands on one, literally, just as it sounds, and start to lift it so that you're controlling Glover's posture and you don't have as much of that seatbelt grip position on you. But normally you would use a 2-on-1 to get up and explode. It's the breaking point. Anthony Smith was using a 2-on-1 to catch his breath. I mean, I don't know if, mentally he got exhausted. Okay, stress does really exhaust you. I don't know how many things you've done in your life ever, or physically or anything like that, where you've pushed yourself to the point of exhaustion, but you've also felt it on a normal day where you shouldn't be exhausted. Perhaps you have too much on your mind. You can't, like, people will say, I lost sleep last night over this, and they're just purely exhausted the next day. Might have been something going on in his life. I mean, the guy did have his house broken into just about a month ago in the middle of a pandemic and had to beat the shit out of a guy in his kitchen to protect his family. I mean, shit like this does take a toll on you. You will burn out so much quicker. Was it a factor? I don't know. Remains to be seen, but worth noting. Coming into the fourth round, I mean, Jason Herzog really should have been telling his corner, look, we need to start seeing some action, okay? Anthony Smith ends up getting his cauliflower ears busted open, okay? He's bleeding out. You can just tell anytime he's moving, he doesn't have any explosion with him whatsoever. It's very slow, labored movement, okay? You could tell this was not the first guy in the first round. Coming into the fifth round, between the fourth and the fifth, Anthony Smith actually tells his corner, I lost teeth. My teeth are falling out. And before he got to the corner, Jason Herzog was saying, hey, are you okay? And just completely walks away. It's very obvious. I mean, look, 99.999% of the population will never, and I mean never, fathom the kind of spirit, a bit of ego, all right, but just that toughness within you to never give up, never quit. You don't make it to the high levels of an organization like the Ultimate Fighting Championship without having that mentality within you. When everything, your lungs are burning, your heart is burning, I mean, you have lactic acid built in muscles that you couldn't even know existed before, and you are just stiff, you can't move, you'll never give up. That's what you're trained to do. But is it in your best interest? So getting on to the point, he's telling his corner, look, my teeth are falling out. All they're telling him is like, deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. I need you to sell out now. I need you to sell out, okay? Now, this is my own guess on what they meant by sell out, where, look, stop fighting anything technically, make it dirty, make it ugly, anything you got in them. But like, Mark Montoya, okay, James Krause, the guys in his corner, these are tremendous coaches, okay? And they have a great relationship with Anthony Smith. You can tell these guys care about each other. And they wanted to see him win so desperately. But they failed to recognize the signals that their fighter was done. They sent Anthony Smith out to fucking die in the fifth round. Like, it is terrible to see this shit. I love this sport. I adore this sport. I think there is nothing greater than somebody getting in a cage, okay, as far as athletic competition, not life goals, okay, but hear me out, okay? I think there's nothing greater to find yourself than to put yourself in a combative situation against another human being. To find out who you are, what your spirit will push you through. There's nothing like that. Literally, it's just you and the other person. Can they break you? Will you push forward? Anthony Smith, his nickname is Lionheart, and it's for a reason. He has a lion heart. He would not quit in this fight, even though it was so blatantly obvious to everybody but his corner. I mean, I'm not in their position, so I don't want to pass judgment, okay? If I was a high-level coach that is cornered guys in championship fights, maybe my voice would hold a little bit more of a reason for who I am, okay? this is what I can see. It was over. This fight was over in the third. It was definitely over in the fourth. And the fifth was just too much. So Anthony Smith loses by TKO. I don't think Anthony Smith should be fighting at least for another year. Minimum 9 months. He took sustained blows from Glover Teixeira. I mean, this guy has fucking gigantic bricks for hands. Big, bricked up, powerful guy. Cutting down to 205. He was guaranteed to be weighing 220 plus pounds in that fight. Glover Teixeira has put away a lot of good fighters. Couldn't put away Anthony Smith last night, just out of Anthony Smith's own grit and tenacity. So I don't want to take anything away from Glover Teixeira. Glover looked incredible, okay? He's 41 years old. It's clear he's still a top contender in this game. Am I clamoring to see a rematch with him and John Jones? Hell no. But I mean, if John Jones and Dominic Reyes have a rematch and Reyes can get what is actually his in the championship, I mean, that door is wide open for Glover Teixeira. It would be an interesting fight to see how their boxing skills matched up against each other. Would favor Reyes, but I mean, Glover, you can't count that guy out. Okay, so congrats to Glover Teixeira. It's unfortunate what happened with Anthony Smith. Okay, I mean, we've seen these beatings before. I can't remember the Brazilian girl's name that Valentina Shevchenko made her 125-pound debut, but she got brutalized in that fight too. That's another fight that should have been stopped way before it was, and this fight I think trumps it. So the onus really has to be on his corner and Jason Herzog. I mean, just because the guy is grabbing a 2-on-1 and relieving himself and moving his knees slowly and trying to sit out the other way, but you can tell it's absolutely labored, you got to stop the fight. Save these fighters from themselves. Hell, if I don't care what sport I'm in, okay? If I'm playing fucking ping pong and in between rounds or matches or whatever the hell you do in ping pong, I come to my coach and say, my teeth are falling out. Coach, get me the fuck out of the ping pong match. Let me get my dental work done, right? What are you doing? Anyhow, nonetheless, it was a great card overall, especially for a Wednesday night. Happy to see mixed martial arts back. Ben Rothwell, OSP, great fight. I thought OSP looked great for a heavyweight. He didn't look undersized at all. He looks like a heavyweight. So if the weight cut's getting too much for him, I think he could be just as competitive in that division as he is at 205, okay? Congrats to Big Ben Rothwell. Big Ben Rothwell, for a 260-plus pound man, puts on a pace like a 185er, all right? Gave Ovince Preux no room to breathe. Ovince Preux had a couple of nice left hooks in there, rocking Big Ben Rothwell, okay? OSP stopped the go-go choke at a couple of times. Congratulations to him, okay? Incredible fight to both those guys. Split decision. I do favor, or I would have given the decision to Big Ben Rothwell, so happy that he got it and moving forward. Drew Dober and Alexander Hernandez, these guys put on an incredible fight as well. You can tell Alexander Hernandez, I mean, he's only 27 years old. He really needs to start molding into his own, okay? He seems like he's a bully fighter. If you watch the fights that he's successful in, he bullies guys around, always mean mugging. But last night he was the hammer, you could see, or he was the nail to Drew Dober's hammer, okay? He got a couple of decent takedowns, all right? I mean, in the middle of getting rocked and barraged, he was able to keep continuously putting Drew Dober on his back. Didn't do much damage from there, but enough to catch his breath, okay? And then get a chance to get back to the feet a little bit more refreshed, but overall too much. Look, great fights on this card overall. One thing I do want to say is that since this pandemic has happened and the UFC has come back, I am loving the no crowd. I'm loving no crowd happening in high-level mixed martial arts fights, okay? I hated I've been to Bellator events as well, regional shows, UFC live. Look, I like to have a couple of drinks and relax and enjoy the fight myself, but not to the point where you're yelling, get up, get up. Get a room if you're going to be hugging on the ground. I hated that shit. Drove me nuts. Or the woo. Look, I don't mind a woo, you know? Let's all get excited, but unless you're fucking Little Richard or Ric Flair, shut the fuck up with the woo things, okay? In fact, whenever crowds can come to the UFC, I mean, soon as people start wooing, get them out of there. Get them the hell out of there, all right? Go fight in the parking lot with each other. Buffoons, let's be civil, all right? Garbage. And the booing during technical fights, I mean, look, I get it. Not everybody wants to watch some guy do, such perfect technique. The way he set things up behind that jab, changed levels beautifully, got that double, evaded the guillotine, just sticking his head out there, landing into side control. That's the shit like nerds like me adore. And I get it, everyone's got bloodlust. Let's watch him stand and bang, stand and bang. Go watch celebrity boxing. Those idiots don't know how to fight. Go watch Last Call and tell some asshole that guy was just talking to your girlfriend and just, grabbed her ass. Watch those two idiots fight. Doesn't belong in high-level mixed martial arts, okay? So that's all I got to say for today. If you enjoyed the content here, please subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. Never give a fuck. You do you. And until next time, I want to say thank you again and